Welcome to my channel Sci-Fi Love Story. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. The first thing Elias Ward noticed after waking up was the weight on his arm. The second thing he noticed was that the weight was not pain. Pain would have been easier to understand. He opened one eye, then the other. The ceiling above him was not human-made. It glowed with a dull green light that pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat that had grown tired of beating. Strange symbols moved across its surface, rearranging themselves in patterns that made no sense to him. Elias tried to move. Something pulled back. He froze. Slowly, carefully, he turned his head. A thick metallic chain wrapped around his right wrist. The metal was dark, almost alive, with faint lines of light moving through it. The chain did not connect to the wall. It connected to another wrist. Elias followed it. Someone else was lying on the floor beside him. She was already awake. She did not look human. Her skin was pale silver gray, smooth and unmarked. Her armor was dark and angular, clearly designed for combat, though it was cracked and scorched in several places. Her face was sharp, her eyes a deep amber that reflected the light like polished glass. She was staring directly at him. Elias swallowed. "Well," he said slowly, his voice dry, "that's new." The chain reacted. A sharp pulse of energy snapped through his arm, not enough to injure, but enough to warn. He hissed and pulled his hand back instinctively. The alien woman did not move. She watched him with calm interest, as if she were observing a test subject. "You are conscious," she said. Her voice was smooth, controlled, and completely without accent. "Unfortunately," Elias replied. "Got a headache and a bad feeling. This isn't a hotel." "This is a containment cell," she said. "Level Theta." "Figures," Elias muttered. He glanced around. Smooth walls, no doors he could see. Thin lines of light traced the edges of the room, forming invisible barriers. No windows, no furniture, no weapons. "Let me guess," he said. "No complimentary breakfast." She did not respond. Instead, she studied him more closely now. His clothes, his posture, his eyes. "You are human," she said. "Last I checked," Elias replied. "Name's Elias Ward, Scout, Exploration Corps U." She hesitated. "I am Tactician Saris," she said, "of the Karun Collective." Elias blinked. "Oh," he said softly, "that's bad." The Karun Collective was not friendly. They were not neutral. They were not misunderstood. They were at war with humanity. "You interfered with my capture," Saris said. Elias shrugged as much as the chain allowed. "You were bleeding, hard to ignore." "You should have escaped," she replied. "Your shuttle was still functional." "Yeah," Elias said. "I'm terrible at leaving people behind." Her eyes narrowed slightly. "That weakness will get you killed." "Hasn't yet," he said. "Came close, though." Silence stretched between them. The cell hummed softly, as if listening. Elias flexed his fingers again, more carefully this time. The chain pulsed faintly but did not shock him. "Okay," he murmured. "So, chained to an enemy alien in a glowing box. Not my worst morning, probably top 5. Saris tilted her head. "Your species uses humor during stress," she said. "Yep, sometimes it even works." "Fear improves efficiency," she replied. "Humor wastes energy." "Disagree," Elias said. "Fear makes you freeze, humor keeps you breathing." Something flickered behind her eyes. Footsteps echoed beyond the cell, heavy, mechanical. Sarah straightened immediately, her body tense despite the chain. "Interrogation patrol," she said. "They will attempt to separate us mentally." Elias leaned his head back against the wall. "Good luck to them. I barely know you." "That is the danger," Sarah said. "Bonding without prejudice is unstable." Elias glanced at her. "You saying we're bonding?" "No," she replied. "I am statting a risk." "Well," he said lightly, I've always been risky. The footsteps passed. The lights dimmed slightly. Time behaved strangely in the cell. Minutes stretched. The air felt heavy, like the room itself was pressing down on them. Saris tested the chain with 2 fingers. The metal glowed brighter. Adaptive restraint, she said. It learns resistance patterns. Of course it does, Elias muttered. Even the chains are smarter than me. You are not unintelligent, she said. That's generous. She looked at him again, longer this time. You did not attempt escape, she said, even when you could. I told you, Elias replied. I don't like running alone. That choice has meaning, she said quietly. To who? To us, Saris answered. Another silence. Then an alarm hummed briefly, distant, low. Saris's posture shifted instantly. Shift cycle, she said, soon. Elias inhaled slowly. Hypothetically, do we survive? If successful, she said, possibly. And if not, then our deaths will be instructive. Comforting, Elias said, really. The lights dimmed again, lower this time. Saris leaned closer, lowering her voice. When the restraint recalibrates, she said, there is a moment of reduced awareness. Elias raised an eyebrow. You're flirting with the handcuffs. I am exploiting them. Right, my mistake. She placed her fingers on a narrow seam in the chain. The glow shifted. The metal warmed. The chain pulsed sharply. Elias clenched his jaw but did not pull away. You endure pain well, Saris noted. I've had human medical insurance, he replied. This is familiar. For a brief moment, something like disbelief crossed her face. The hum of the cell changed pitch. Saris's fingers moved faster, precise and careful. When it disengages, she whispered, you will feel disorientation. Do not panic. Define panic, Elias whispered back. The chain flashed white. For half a second, Elias felt nothing. No weight, no floor, no sense of direction. Then gravity slammed back. The chain fell open between them with a dull clatter. Elias stared at his freed wrist. Oh, he breathed, that actually worked. Saris was already on her feet. Move, she said. The wall split open as the cell door hissed apart. Red light flooded the corridor beyond. Alarm screamed. So much for subtle, Elias muttered. They ran. Guards turned, weapons rising. Saris moved first, fast, brutal. She disarmed one guard and slammed another into the wall with controlled force. Elias grabbed the fallen weapon. It vibrated violently in his hand. How do you turn this off? He shouted. Do not touch the... Too late. The weapon discharged wildly, blasting the ceiling in a shower of sparks. Elias stared at it. I meant to do that. Saris actually laughed. They ran harder. Corridors blurred past, doors sealed and reopened. Energy bolts scorched the walls. Left, Saris shouted. Elias turned just as plasma burned the space where he had been. You could have said that sooner. I did, she replied. You were screaming. They slid into a maintenance alcove as fire tore through the corridor behind them. The panel slammed shut. Silence. Both of them gasped for breath. Elias bent over, hands on his knees. Next time, fewer lasers. There will not be a next time, Saris said. He looked up at her. Her armor was scorched, her breathing steady. She looked unstoppable. If we survive, she said quietly, our cultures will collide. Elias wiped sweat from his face. Let's survive first. She nodded once. Then she opened the panel and stepped back into the fire. Outside, alarms howled. Inside the station, something had changed. The galaxy had just made a mistake. Alarms howled through the station like wounded animals. Red light flooded every corridor, reflecting off metal walls scorched by weapons fire. The air smelled of heat and burned circuitry. Somewhere deep in the structure, something heavy detonated, sending a shudder through the floor. Elias Ward ran. His lungs burned. His legs felt like they were filled with lead. Every instinct screamed at him to slow down, to hide, to give up. He didn't. Saris moved ahead of him, fast and precise, her steps measured even as chaos spread behind them. She glanced back only once, checking that he was still there. He was. A bolt of energy tore past Elias' shoulder, close enough that he felt the heat sting his skin. "Down," Saris shouted. He dropped without thinking. The bolt smashed into the wall above him, spraying molten fragments across the floor. Elias rolled, came up clumsily, and fired his stolen weapon again. This time, the blast struck a guard square in the chest, sending the armored figure crashing backward. Elias stared for half a second. "Okay," he panted, "that one was on purpose." They reached a junction where the corridor split into 3 paths. Each was sealed by shifting energy fields. Saris stopped abruptly. "We are being herded," she said. Elias leaned against the wall, trying to breathe. "Yeah, I had that feeling too, like the station wants us somewhere specific." "That is because it does," Saris replied. She stepped to a wall panel and tore it open with bare hands. Sparks flew. She reached inside, fingers moving fast. "What are you doing?" Elias asked. "Making a choice," she said. The lights flickered. 2 of the 3 energy barriers dropped. "After you," Elias said weakly. They ran again. Behind them the station adjusted. Bulkheads slammed shut. Pathways rerouted. The prison was no longer trying to contain them. It was trying to study them. They burst into a wide chamber filled with towering machines and glowing conduits. The hum of power here was almost deafening. Sarah slowed. "This is a cognitive analysis hub," she said. "They observe decision-making under stress." Elias laughed breathlessly. "So we're in a lab?" "Yes." "Well," he said, raising his weapon, "let's ruin their data." Guards poured in from the far end of the chamber, more than before, too many. Sarah stepped forward, placing herself between Elias and the incoming fire. "No," Elias said sharply, "not doing that." He grabbed her arm and pulled her back just as a heavy blast ripped through the space she'd been standing in. She looked at him, startled. "Humans do not retreat to protect others," she said. "Yeah," Elias replied, "we really do." He slammed a control lever nearby. The machine screamed as power surged unpredictably. The floor tilted. Gravity fluctuated. Guards stumbled. Elias and Saris ran through the chaos. They dove through a narrow hatch just as the chamber collapsed behind them in a violent cascade of sparks and falling metal. They landed hard. Elias groaned, rolling onto his back. "I hate space stations," he muttered. Sarah stood, scanning the corridor. "We are near the command spine." "Good," Elias said, "because I'm running out of clever ideas." They advanced more slowly now, moving through maintenance corridors thick with steam and flickering lights. Then they heard voices. Not guards. Officers. Saris froze. She recognized the tones instantly. "They are mine," she said quietly. Elias felt his stomach drop. "Your people." "Yes." They peered into the command chamber. Inside, Karun officers stood around a central projection. The image displayed rotating symbols, data logs, neural maps, probability curves. At the center of it all was a human silhouette. "Elias." "They've been watching us," he whispered. Saris listened, her face growing rigid. "The human response to threat is anomalous," one officer said. "They form loyalty under pressure." "Faster than any known species," another replied. "It spreads." They do not break, a third said. They bind. Saris's hands curled into fists. Our simulations indicate a high risk, the lead officer continued. If allowed to integrate with the wider galaxy, humans will destabilize established hierarchies. Recommendation, someone asked. Preemptive containment, the officer said calmly, or eradication. Elias felt cold. Sarah stepped forward. No. Every head turned. She entered the chamber openly, weapon lowered but ready. This experiment ends now, she said. The officers stared at her in disbelief. You were ordered to disengage, the lead officer said. The human is expendable. Saris did not look back at Elias, but her voice was steady. He is not. Elias stepped beside her. Hey, he said softly, if this is where you walk away, I get it. She turned to him then. No, she said, you do not. She faced her superiors. I declare bond, Saris said, by survival, by shared fire, by choice. The chamber erupted in shouting. That is irreversible, the officer snapped. Yes, Saris replied, it is. Weapons rose. Elias moved without thinking. He stepped forward, spreading his arms. If you're going to shoot, he said, voice shaking but loud, start with me. Saris grabbed him, pulling him back. You are not expendable, she said fiercely. Before anyone could fire, the station shuddered violently. A new alarm screamed, deeper, angrier. What is happening? An officer demanded. A console flared to life. Multiple warp signatures detected, the system announced. Human ships. Not warships. Transports, patrol craft, rescue vessels. They poured into real space around the station like a flood. The officers stared in disbelief. How? One whispered. Elias smiled despite everything. We don't like leaving people behind, he said. The station rocked as docking clamps engaged forcibly. Human voices filled the comms. This is the Human Exploration Corps, a calm voice announced. Stand down, we are boarding. Chaos exploded. Elias and Saris ran as battle erupted behind them. Human Marines clashed with Karun guards. Engineers cut through systems. Medics followed close behind. Not conquerors. Rescuers. They reached a hangar where a human shuttle waited, scarred but functional. Elias collapsed into a seat as Saris sealed the hatch. The shuttle launched just as explosions ripped through the station. They watched through the viewport as the black site tore itself apart. The prison that studied humans died screaming. Silence followed. The stars stretched as the shuttle entered drift. Elias let out a long, shaking breath. Well, he said, that escalated. Saris sat across from him, her posture finally relaxing. You disobeyed your people, Elias said quietly. Yes. For me. For what you are, she corrected. For what your species chooses to be. Human ships surrounded them now, protective, steady. Boarding crews arrived. Medical teams rushed in. When a medic tried to separate them, Saris placed a hand on Elias' arm. We remain together, she said. No one argued. Hours later, Elias sat in a recovery bay, wrapped in a thermal blanket, holding a cup of something that claimed to be tea. Sarah stood beside him, armor removed, wounds treated. The galaxy outside continued spinning, unchanged. But something had shifted. You could have walked away, Elias said. Yes, she replied. Why didn't you? Saris considered. Because humans face fear together, she said, and once that happens, separation becomes impossible. Elias nodded slowly. Yeah, he said, that sounds like us. Outside the viewport, stars waited, vast, patient, and full of paths. The galaxy had learned something important. You can chain a human to an enemy. You can test them. You can try to break them. But if a human chooses someone, they will never face the dark alone again. And